Welcome to Grid Tactical Tuesday. This is our weekly call for our agent investor community where we tell you exactly how to build your cash machine. And if you're an agent, your cash machine is your agent sales business. So we bring on a top producer from around the country who gets tactical with us. And today I'm excited. We're joined by my friend Taylor Lennox Bagnick. And Taylor is one of the most intentional agents that I know. She's making time for us at the Glover U retreat in Traverse City, and she's going to break down exactly the habits, the routines, the practices that have enabled her to scale her business. So if you haven't seen her first episode, go back and watch that episode. Phenomenal. But I wanted to come back and get really specific into what were the strategies and what were the things that we did to actually build the agent that we see today and the person that we see today. Taylor, what's going on this morning?
Hey guys, I appreciate you all having me back. Just kind of show of hands, who was here for the last call, the when I was on? So I can see. I guess it was valuable enough that you guys brought me back, so I appreciate it. I did just want to go over really quickly who I am for those of you that weren't on the call last time. So, as Justin said, Taylor Lennox Bagnick. I'm a military spouse. I have been in coastal Virginia since 2019. My life before real estate was in radio, and it was a very miserable time during COVID to be in radio. So ended up transitioning to real estate full time in 2021 and never looked back. So I am extremely excited to be here. It took me a lot of time, energy, and effort, the way that it does for all of us when you first start, when you're drinking out of a fire hose and trying to figure out this game of real estate. I partnered with a top producing agent who helped me to become the agent that I am today. And I would say that that's honestly one of the biggest mistakes that I see for people is trying to figure all this out on their own and not partnering with teams and mentors and coaches to fast track their success in this industry. So I was able to partner with a top producing agent. We did 94 buyer side deals in 2021, which taught me so much about this industry. And last year, me and my partner agent did 85 units for 30 million in volume. And a big reason how I got there was because of my daily habits. And a lot of that comes from not only my team, but being involved in Glover U as well, which is the conference that I'm at, where it's just a lot of high achievers. So you want to be in those rooms of people that are working at the level that you are trying to achieve and how are they getting there. So a big part of that has been 76 hard. So if you're familiar with 75 hard for health and fitness, it's a very similar concept, but for real estate agents. So what that looks like is having a different script practice partner Monday through Friday, writing out a script daily and chanting that script. So saying it out loud. And that is something that is so overlooked in this industry of something that is free, easy, and takes 15 minutes of your day to start practicing and honing in those skills. And I can assure you that if you do that for the next 75 working days and beyond, your business will change because your conversations are going to sound so different. Same thing is 2 hours of lead generation every day. And whatever that looks like for you, it doesn't mean that you have to be calling FSBOs and expireds. Of course, that is a source of business that you can do. But if you are heavy database, then you need to be in your database every day for 2 hours with outbound prospecting, nurturing those relationships. So I did talk a lot about this the last time, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I did just want to share this for people that weren't on the last call. This is a great resource to screenshot for this 75 hard for realtors, where you're writing 3 gratitudes, 10 call video messages, 10 text messages, 5 mailers, 5 emails. So if you are one of those agents that's like, I wake up and I don't know what to do in the morning, congratulations, I just solved that for you. Like, just do this every single day consistently, Monday through Friday. And I can assure you that your business is going to look so different 30, 60, 90 days from now. So I always love to give a little something for people to just be able to really hit the ground running. And this is a really easy way to do this. So I did just want to start with that. I know I go ahead, Justin.
What was the hardest part of this for you? What was the thing that was the biggest challenge?
So truthfully, the less busy I was, the easier it was. So I've done 4 rounds of 75 hard. The last round that I did was the hardest round because I never lost momentum. So when you have 18 pending and you're still protecting your morning, it gets very challenging. So it's an amazing problem to have. It's not one that I, wanted to complain about, but the biggest thing that I learned through all of this is that when I pushed through, even when it was hard, I didn't see the yo-yos the way that I was before because I was staying consistent to that appointment to myself. So the script practice and role play, the 2 hours of lead generation, it's a non-negotiable no matter how busy you are, because I can assure you, if you take your foot off of the brake, you're going to feel that 30, 60, 90 days from now. And you're going to go from having 18 under contract to then 3 to then 0 to then like, okay, now I have to lead gen my face off again, and then you get the business again. But that was so exhausting, and I was doing that for a few years until I started to do the 76 hard program. So they will be doing another round of it. I can send you guys that information if it's something that you are interested in formally joining. But you don't even have to formally join it to get the same benefits if you are just protecting your morning, and at minimum doing the script practice and role play and the 2 hours of lead generation. And if you don't know what lead generation means to you, that's where I would take these go-tos and just start doing this on a daily basis as a part of your routine.
Other question.
Yeah.
What is the volume and these habits, what has that done for your clients, do you think? Like, how has that
So
made you a better agent?
yeah, well, this by me touching so many deals over the last couple of years, even the 94 units that I did with Cheyenne in year one, for me, there's always going to be, it surprises me when I run into scenarios now because it's like, oh wow, this is a new one. But for the most part, I got all that crap out of the way in the beginning of my career. Like, I learned how to navigate solar panel addendums. I learned how to navigate when 5 minutes before closing, the ex-wife rams her car into the side of the house and you have to do an escrow holdback. True story, that happened. So all of those things I was able to work alongside a top producing agent who already had 5 years under her belt. And now I am that agent for my partner agent, where she's like, oh my gosh, we ran into title issues. What do we do? It's like, hey, it's all good. Like, this is how we'll navigate that conversation. So it keeps you very level headed, calm, cool, and collective because it's not something that I haven't navigated before. And you
Hmm?
only get there by doing more and more units and running into more and more scenarios that make you a more confident agent. And when you can say that to your clients of like, hey, I've handled this before and this is what we did and this is what I would advise in your scenario as well. You can go into those conversations much, you can have their minds be at ease as well. So that's what it's done for my clients.
Yeah, you did like 7 to 8 years of business of an average agent that's producing, which is like 12 transactions
Hmm.
in a single year.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Perfect.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's not what everyone's business is going to look like, you know? So whatever it looks like for you, but I do recommend that partnering with someone when you first get into the business is the way to go, just so that you can get more reps.
Mhm. All right. What are we going to talk
Yes.
about today?
So
Thank you.
yes, exactly. Thank you. Yeah. So now we're making money. So now I want to talk about investing. There's no point in talking about investing if we're not making any money to invest. So, what has always driven me a little crazy when I go into these webinars and seminars and stuff, it's like, I struggled for the first 6 months and now I have 120 doors. And it's like, okay, like how did you get there? How did you get to 120 doors? What did your first deal look like? How was it structured? So I am really peeling back the curtain. I have 10 doors to date as of last Friday. I believe I was under contract the last time I was talking to you guys. We did officially close on 8, 9, and 10 for me and my husband. So I'm quite literally going to walk you guys through my first deal to my last deal and how we structured those, the amount of money that we needed to have, and the different creative financing strategies that we have used over the course of the years. So diving into that. So this is my baby. This is the first one that we ended up investing in, and this was before I was even in real estate. So we bought our first primary residence in Milton, Florida. It's right outside of Pensacola. My husband and I bought this, and it was a new construction D.R. Horton community, and I was 22 years old. So you don't know what you don't know. We rolled up to the new construction community. We started working with the builder's rep, which now I know in hindsight and now being in the industry, like would have preferred to have had an agent walking us through the process because the builder's rep represents the builder. So we bought this for 169,000 back in 2018, brand new construction, 4 bed, 2.5 bath. We rented out every single room to our flight school buddies. So we never paid a mortgage payment on this property. Was it uncomfortable? Yeah. Like, did I want to still have roommates? No, I didn't. But financially, it made sense for us to do that. We did an FHA, first time home buyer loan, that I had to bring 7,500 to the closing table for that first deal. We were at a 4.8% interest rate when we bought, and I still remember sitting at the closing table and they were like, "This is the lowest rate we've ever seen. Like, this is crazy." And I'm like, cool. Like, I just know that I can afford the monthly payment. I have no idea what you're talking about with this interest rate thing. So our monthly payment, we ended up during COVID, we refinanced to a 2% interest rate, got it down to a 15-year loan for the same monthly payment. So this one we're going to be able to pay off much faster. Our monthly payment is 1320. Everything that I'm going through is including taxes and insurance, just so you all know. We rent it for 1950. We do have a property manager that we utilize in Florida. So this one cash flows 440,000. This is something I need to add to my slides as well, but this is now worth 325,000. So we have a ton of equity in this place that we could play around with. So had I been in real estate at the time, I would have bought the whole block. But hindsight is
Like
2020.
a 50% equity position on this asset. It's
Mhm.
cash flowing 440. It's doing exactly what we talked about. It's that curve, right? The value goes up in an exponential curve. And now you're
Mhm.
doing a 15 years. So you're hammering down the principal. And that delta between the value appreciating, right, and the principal
Mhm.
reduction is the magic of real estate. That is the magic of when you stay here, where you watch your net worth just creeping up every single month. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly. And I get a lot of calls, and you all may as well, where people will be like, "I want to get into real estate." It's like, "Okay, great. How much real estate do you already own?" It's like, "Well, none." I'm like, "Okay." So the first thing we want to do is get you a primary residence. Like, that is going to get you in the game. And people think like that's not investing. It is. Like, your first home, in my opinion, I love this strategy, especially for military. You guys know I'm in a heavy military town with being in Norfolk, Virginia, Virginia Beach. You all have some military intertwined in your areas as well. There is such an opportunity for people to buy their primary residence, live in it, build that equity and then be able to rent it out. Yes, is the cash flow sometimes a little bit less than it used to be in 2018 when I purchased? Yeah, but you also have that invisible equity that's being built as well for a part of your retirement strategy. So it's all in the conversations that you're having and making sure that you are finding them a sound investment and having conversations with them on like realistically, how long do you plan to be in the area, be in this home, so that we can set you up for success where they're not pissed off in 2 years from now because they now have to move and they're in a position where they're owing a ton to rent and also owing to sell because we didn't have realistic conversations with them about that. So that was number one for me. Then we moved to Virginia. And again, I was not in real estate at the time. I was still working at the radio station for $36,000 a year, and we were making it work with investing. So this was in 2019. We really wanted to buy a duplex, but every duplex that we were finding was either biting off way more than we could chew as far as the renovations were concerned, or they were in areas that I didn't particularly want to live in, which we all know is subjective. But so we ultimately ended up buying one half of a duplex. So we owned the one side at 735 West Ocean View. We let the other side know, like, hey, should the day ever come that you guys want to sell, we would love to purchase that property. So we did buy this with our VA loan for $212,000. Our agent, Kaleo Kina, for those of you that know him, he had represented us, and I now work on his team. So full circle. We didn't have to bring any cash to closing because we had our closing costs covered. So for my little blue right here, that monthly payment is $1,500. It rents for $2,130. We manage the property because we live a block away, and that one cash flows $606 a month for us. Um, Fast forward, we did a really good job at planting the seed, and last year we were able to buy the other side of Little Blue. So we do now own the entire duplex. This was structured differently. So we ended up doing a DSCR loan, which is an investment product. They don't need like all of your taxes and that type of stuff, as long as the rent is $1 more than what your monthly payment is, they will lend to you. You do have to have 20% down for this. So what we ended up doing was the sellers wanted to make 200,000. That was their like bottom line. The property needed a roof, a new HVAC, and we redid the like the flooring, the paint, all of that type of stuff. This was the first time that we had to put 20% down, truthfully. So we didn't want to have to put all of our cash. Putting that 20% down and then doing a roof and an HVAC was going to be like a really big hit to us. So ultimately, we ended up increasing the price to 230, got a $30,000 credit from the sellers and paid the roofer, the HVAC company, and paint for the home. So this one is less cash flow heavy. This one is at that 1788. It rents for 1930. We don't have a property management fee, so it cash flows 142. But this was a part of my tax saving strategy last year as well, because did a cost segregation study on it, and where I typically was paying about 20,000 in taxes, I owed the government $7,000 last year. Made the most money I had ever made and acquired two more properties. So purchasing property is not only helping my net worth, but it's also helping me to save on taxes as well. So any questions on like DSCR or how we structured this buy?
Yeah, curious if anyone's got any questions, any ahas, curious about anything we're talking about, right? Um, Taylor, what level of production were you having to do to generate the income when you, yeah. Like,
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So, I mean, I can take you all the way through. I'm truly an open book with all of this
yeah.
stuff. So, in 2021, I made my first six figures. I made 100,000 as a partner agent, doing all of the showings, home inspections, final walkthroughs. I was making about 15% on the 94 deals that I did.
And I love that. Kova, if anyone's here in Casa, so similar. We run so many of the Kova plays. And the agent partner is one of those plays that we both run. That's Rob's model is you can come be an agent partner and you can earn six figures as an agent partner, get exposure. Like plenty of people have done it on the team before. Taylor did the same thing, right? But it is about massive action. Love that. So you came in, hey, first year, I make six figures, double income, right?
Yeah,
Husband,
so have my husband is an officer in the Navy, so
great.
he also had his income. We for when we purchased like this property and I was still in
Mhm.
radio making the 36,000.
Yes,
So we just continued to um we didn't inflate our lifestyle when I started making money in real estate. We kept
got it.
everything that like we could. Chris paid for us to live, like as far as food, housing, all of that. My money, we started to just really stack away and nest egg.
Cool.
And we didn't inflate our lifestyle until a little bit later when we got some
What
stability.
does not
But
inflating your lifestyle look? Not buying new vehicles,
oh
not
yeah,
going
yeah.
on
We
vacations.
Both of our vehicles are paid off. I mean, it was COVID, so we weren't taking any vacations
Cool.
whatsoever. Also, he was like gearing up for deployment.
Yep.
So it was very much like bare bones grinding, doing 750 showings for and then nest egging and it was the first time I had like six figures in my bank account. And it was, crazy to see for that. So 21 made 100,000, 22 and 23 I was right at 150. And that is before taxes. So like I still owed 20,000 in taxes like all
Sure.
those years as well. 24 was 240 and then 25 I hit 300 and we were able to do um this one, the DSCR loan for the 20% down for that.
Yep.
We also purchased this one last year as well too. So this
No, I love it. But
was,
that first time you're making 36,000,
oh yeah,
your husband's
the
officer
first
money, which
two.
is good. It's not, yeah, the first one very much. You just bought it. You bought a home. That's everyone should. But even the second one, when you relocated here and kept that original property,
Mhm.
had a VA loan, but still not like huge amounts of income for two earners.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
very feasible, very intentional, like what you can do. And this is like a 4-year span.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started with three primary residents. So we had the one in Florida, we had Little Blue, the one
Mhm.
half. And then we then bought land and built, which I'm going to get to that one a little bit further down
Yep.
in this. But this one was that DSCR. This one was actually a listing appointment that I went on, and we had started to talk about subject twos in our office. And
Oh, let's go.
there was one girl in our office who within 1 year did like 12 subject to deals. And I'm one of those people like, I'm like, if she can do it, I can do it. Like there's no reason why she's crushing it like this. Like I'm just not looking at it in the right way and searching for these opportunities. So I started to go into every listing appointment like can I buy this? Was the first thing I was asking myself. Then can I sell it? Because this is the truth. I got into real estate because I wanted more income to be able to invest. My grandparents have 22 investment properties in the Philadelphia area. I have to have 23 because I got to beat my mom. So I really got into this because I wanted to invest in real estate myself and have more knowledge. And truthfully, once I got into real estate and I started helping other people, there was a span where I lost sight of that. And I was like, wait a minute. I am helping other people and educating other people on how they can build investment portfolios, and I've lost sight of my own goals in the process. So once my husband got back from deployment, once we got done with our new construction build that we were working on, we we got very intentional last year, and that was where we bought this one with the DSCR loan because we didn't want
Mhm.
to keep moving the same way that we were doing. Like we were happy where we were at with the new build, but we wanted to get creative to not necessarily have to put 20% down every single time. So that is where Chase Way ended up falling into my lap. I went on the listing appointment. He was pre-foreclosure. He missed four mortgage payments. His HVAC was out. So getting it on the market was going to be very challenging, and we were up against the clock with the bank. He had a 3% interest rate. He was working with a property management company, not Sunshine Property Management, just so you guys know, but he was working with a different property management company who they didn't even have the right code on the lockbox. So it was sitting vacant for a few months. He was just in a really tough spot. So ultimately offered him 30,000 to be able to buy him out of the property and leave the loan in his name to be able to hold the 3% interest rate. But they do if you're not familiar with subject twos, that is essentially what it is, where you keep the property in you keep the mortgage in that person's name, you hold their interest rate, you get all of their login information for that, and you keep making payments, which in turn helped his credit, put him in a better financial position. And if Chris and I, my husband, if we were to miss a mortgage payment, there is a quick claim deed that is held that the property would go back to him as a safeguard for him. But they do a full deed and title transfer. So the property is in our LLC and we have ownership of this property, which our monthly payment is $14.22, which I am making one extra payment a year to buy this one, to pay this one off a little bit faster. It rents for $2,100. We handle the property management and it cash flows $678. So that was a really, really good deal. Go ahead, Justin.
No, amazing deal for the subject to specifically. Was
Mm-hmm.
that, hey, you had to study, you had to come up with these agreements, or it was, I know this is possible. Someone else has done it. They gave me the title company that they used. I used the same title company. They explained the process. They handled it all the same way. I don't do a title search on a regular property.
Yeah, we were having these conversations just like this at our office, where
Mhm.
every Wednesday we were just talking about wealth building and what people were doing. And this girl, Vic, came in and talked about how she bought 12 in a year. And we were all just like fascinated with the process. So that's exactly what happened. There was another one that I was evaluating that ultimately didn't make sense. And then this one did. And I'm like, all right, Vic, walk me through. Like, what does the contract look like? Who are you working with? So I used that same settlement company that she used for the 12 deals that she did successfully. So it really was just about like having those connections of people that are already doing it at a high level.
Yep. And we got them in grid. And this is why,
Yep.
we bring people like Taylor on here, and Taylor shares all of her contact information because she knows, like, I can give this to 100 people and three are going to call me. So it's
Yeah.
fine. You're not going to overwhelm her if you reach out and ask if you want to know how to do some of these things. Like, that's been our experience is everything is about relationships. And there are people here who are totally willing to give away the game and want to see you win. I love it. Lauren had a question. So Lauren's question is, did you work with a lawyer to come up with a subject to sales contract that had all the protections you felt you needed?
Yes, I did. So there was a local attorney, Jenny Cologne, and it was outside the settlement company that I typically use. They didn't want to touch it. So
Yep.
I used somebody else, and she was fantastic with really like walking us through everything. Again, like I had that amazing resource at the office who had a few under her belt. I've been seeing a few people too where they're doing the subject to start. And then after 6 months, they're flipping it into a DSCR loan. So there are a few people who are doing that. I have talked to my lender about that. You do have to wait for the deed to be in your name for 6 months before you can refi it into the
Hmm.
DSCR loan. And then you don't risk them calling the note on you because you are refining it into your name.
Yeah. You also don't
So
have the 3% interest rate. So I could see both things
exactly.
being, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this one don't want to have to refi it because of the interest rate that we have. But because it's been paid down enough and everything as well, it's one of those things where like if knock on wood, like the note got called or whatever, we would just refi it out and put it in our name.
Julian, can you drop the link to Mike Capello's appearance at Grid Knoxville like 2 years ago, where he came and talked to us about creative financing? We go step by step through subject to Mike Capello runs Sell Simply, the
Hmm.
Grid Capital Partners acquisition arm of just we can get into the nuance if you're curious about this. Do on sale clause. These sophisticated techniques are amazing when you're coming from a position of strength and reserves. Where I'm
Hmm.
not worried about Taylor. She just said I got this deep equity. Like Taylor could make some moves. Taylor could refinance something else. Taylor could, if this got called, Taylor could make this thing happen. As opposed to Pace telling us go buy properties, no cash out of pocket. It's possible, but you have no margin for error when things go a little sideways. And what Taylor mentioned is even after hundreds of transactions, I still see new things, right, Aaron? After 20 years in this business, whatever can happen will happen. Yeah, but really amazing technique because you got a 3% interest rate. It's our time machine. We're,
Yeah.
we're going in the Wayback Machine, and we were getting a 3% interest rate when they were giving away money for free. Yep.
Totally. And that's the thing too. People are like, why would anyone do this? It's like, well, this was that scenario where it's like he was going to go into foreclosure. That was going to affect his credit for a very long time. Putting it on the market with a broken HVAC is very challenging, especially in a heavy VA market. So it was a win-win, truthfully, where it's like, hey, he now is able to increase his credit. We're able to put less money down than if we went a traditional financing route and then have that 3% interest rate as well.
And this is where I think from doing this for a while, being an agent investor uniquely positions you in the market, right? Because I have credibility. People know agents. People, we have a mixed reputation in the to the public at large and good agents. People understand fiduciary responsibility. They see the Google reviews. They see like you've got a track record that is tangible. In my experience, those conversations are fundamentally different than just a pure investor. Some
Mhm.
pure investors are amazing at building rapport and have pulled off some amazing deals. In general, I think we've got an easier path to go because when I walk in the door, man, I've got all this credibility. I've got all this social proof of who I am and how I show up, out in the world publicly. I love
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the subject too. I did put this into an LLC as well, just because it was one of those that I'm like,
Yep.
I don't have my other properties in LLCs, right, wrong, indifferent. Obviously, there's different ways of doing it, and people think it.
Mhm.
But for me, I'm like, let's do an LLC, just with it being my first time.
Yep.
The reason why I am a little, I guess, less concerned with the subject to as well is because of these two deals right here. So I unfortunately lost my dad suddenly in 2021, and my sister has a rare lung disease called pulmonary hypertension. Her medication every month to keep her alive is over $30,000 when not covered by insurance. So when my dad passed away, it was April 21st of 2021. I had just left. My parents are divorced. BTW. So I am the executrix of the estate at the time. I was 25 years old, just got into real estate in January of 21 full time. So it was a lot. So I learned a lot about estates and trust and things of that nature. So because my dad passed away, my sister was now going to be dropped from his insurance, which that was when I learned that she also could not have ownership of these assets because they essentially could put liens on these homes for her medication. So I had to work very quickly to establish a special needs trust and buy her out of the two properties that we would have been inheriting. So Ogle Street, 4858 Ogle Street. What was left on the mortgage when my dad passed away was 153,000. We had to get an appraisal for the property, and I'm begging the appraiser. I'm like, please make it as low as possible because you also have to pay estate taxes on it in Pennsylvania. So I did buy my brother and sister out of this property. I didn't want to, I'm the oldest of three, so I didn't want to affect my brother's first time home buying benefit. I preferred for him to have some cash that he could put into a property. So I did buy my brother and sister out of this property. So this cost me 48,000 to acquire Ogle Street. And when I called Chase Bank, who the mortgage was with, I had asked them multiple times, like, hey, do I need to refi this into my name? What does this process look like? They're like, no, as long as you keep making the monthly payments, we don't care. So this is still under the estate of James Lennox. I transferred the deed into my name, and I have full ownership of this property. So this alone made me more comfortable in the subject too, as well, because I was
Hmm.
already doing it on the property that I
Yeah.
acquired from my dad. So this monthly payment is 847,000. The tenant is paying 1,500, which is well under market value, but she's a really great tenant nurse. She's been there for years, so very low noise. I manage this one on my own as well, and this one cash flows 653 a month for this one. Same thing. So for 101 West Walnut, this is a property in Wildwood, New Jersey. We had to do the same thing as far as getting an appraisal for it. Me and my brother had to buy my sister out of it, which would have been 106,000. So we each had to pay 53,000 to buy her out of this one. This one, the property was completely paid off. We do have, this is a short-term rental, so we do weekly rentals. The property management per stay is 16%. Our expenses are roughly around 10,000 to keep the lights on, pay the short-term rental fees, utilities, insurance, all that good stuff. And we make about 30 in total. Subtract that 10,000. Me and my brother usually make about 10,000 a year for this property. And the cool thing about this one as well is that it pays for our 2 weeks of vacation every year. So we have an annual happy hour for my dad. He was a big member of the Irish Society of Philadelphia. So we have a happy hour in his honor. So we take 2 weeks to celebrate him. We're able to, and all of the money and proceeds for that goes back to pulmonary hypertension, which is what my sister has. So the fact that one, people want to continue to celebrate him, and he's still making an impact on the longevity of my sister's life, is just really awesome. So for me, and I'll share a little bit more because we just bought another short-term rental. I don't know. You guys can check in with me, do a pulse check, like a few years from now. But the short-term rental game, I like for locations and properties that I want to vacation in myself, and I have like a personal tie and love for. But if I don't know that I could do just like a random place that I wouldn't want to visit unless like the margins were like phenomenal, because the turnover and everything, they are just so much more noise than the set it and forget it of the long-term tenant. So that is just my preferred strategy. But there are ones like this and ones that we just purchased that I'll get to, that makes sense because we like to vacation there. So any questions?
Can I touch the pulse of the room? I see we got a lot of people on here. We've got some newer agents on here, different stages in life. We've got some really experienced agents. Aaron on here does only short-term rentals in the Shenandoah Valley. That's his
Mhm.
entire niche. Any thoughts, any ahas, any questions? Like I love what I've heard from Taylor is a couple things. Hey, I came in here, right? Go back and watch the first episode so you can hear about Taylor being how she got in the Oscar Mayer mobile. Uh, right. And how difficult that was, and all the doors that these things open by pursuing a passion, right? Have opened up all these doors, been my experience. If you're really young on this call, do the interesting thing. It'll crush in interviews. I booked more jobs off of going and spending a summer working on farms and vineyards in Italy than anything on my resume. So I love that. And then you went through, you said, hey, I got into production. I got a ton of reps under my belt, right? I was willing to do 94 deals to make $100,000. I was
Hmm.
willing to show 700. When you break down the hourly rate, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's better than out there, but it is
It
not like you came in
wasn't
and
great.
94 deals and made 400, like, right? I made a good living, which we can do in our industry. But then I pay taxes on that, like totally fine. But hey, I got in there, I kept my expenses the same. I took my eye off the ball because I was focused on my cash machine and my production. And I wasn't intentional about building my wealth machine. Totally normal. It's no different than we started this call talking about, right? Leveling out that lead generation so that the business and your cash machine becomes predictable. So all the things, energy, identity, mindset is level one. Level two is predictable income. Taylor nailed that. And like that 76 hard we started with is how you nail down level one. This is how I stay consistent, and it's outside accountability. And plugging into Glover U is one of the best programs in the country. It is the room outside of Grid is my favorite room, and in some ways it's better, just different on the agent side. It's my favorite agent room to be in, bar none. I love that place. Wish I could be there right now. And then now we got into being intentional, being opportunistic, getting creative. I think these are all things like huge upside. Can I ask a quick question to jump ahead? How much cash flow do you have now relative to your monthly expenses? Are you getting close to, I'm sure
It's a really good question. So I mean, my husband and I, like,
that's the income flip, right? We get enough passive income to fund our lifestyle. Obviously,
yeah.
lifestyle's different when we're building and growing and at this phase in our lives. Like it'll contract later when we retire. Yep.
Hmm. So for every single door that I have, we have a bank account for it. So whenever we get a new door,
Mhm.
we open a new bank account. There has only been one time so far that we have pulled from those accounts in
Yep.
order to purchase. It was actually for Chase Way. We pulled like 5,000 from each of them to
Yep.
help pay for Chase Way. Otherwise, which was the subject to deal. Otherwise, like, we just let those build up for anything that may come about. An HVAC goes out, a vacancy happens. Like, we have not let our properties inflate our lifestyle whatsoever. So I don't,
Yes. This is how we build wealth. It is
yeah.
easy to get rich in this game. I have seen people lose way more than Taylor when I started. Yeah, this is fantastic.
Yeah, so we don't, like, when I say that these are cash flowing monthly, like, I'm not including it
Yep.
into my income that I make. So and I we do property management in Virginia as well, and that is exactly what I coach people on as well. Like, of course I can't, hold their hand and take them to the bank and make sure that they do it, but I have my strategy calls and best practices with all of my homeowners, and I'm like, "Hey, this is what I would highly, highly, highly encourage you to do is
Mhm.
open up a bank account for this, put some reserves in there, change your mortgage payment to start coming out to it. We'll have your ACH payment go to it, and you're
Yep.
just going to see it start to fluctuate. And
Because every business is its own, every investment property is its own business. Something I learned from Rob. It has its
Mhm.
own P&L. And when you do what Taylor's doing, it really simplifies the visibility and the accounting. I'm sure it's why one of the reasons you've been able to scale, because the cash flow isn't all commingled.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweep it, like there's stuff on the back end, but it's all going into one ledger sheet where I can just look at it very clearly and see how is this asset performing.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. And I can pull it up if we have some time at the end. I can show you guys like what my like net worth tracker looks like and all of that. So
Anyone have any questions? We're gonna move on, but this is the quietest Tactical Tuesday. I see your happy faces.
Aaron, did you have something?
No, I think you're doing great. I agree with you on the short-term rental thing. You want to have a place where you want to vacation first, right? And then you apply all the other strategies, the tax savings, the cost segs, you know, the maximum revenue income, but it is absolutely not a set it and forget it thing, especially nowadays. Back in 2000 when COVID was there, yeah, more people did that, but now more and more of them are getting out of the game because they're not profitable. And they did what they wanted to do with them. Now they're selling them, and a lot of them have a ton of deferred maintenance too because these guys lost money along the way. So, yeah, I agree, and great job.
Thank you. All right, Taylor, let's bring it home. What do we got? So we can talk about building Bagnick. So did I freeze? Or I lose Taylor for a second. I think I lost Taylor for a second.
Yeah,
Cool.
we lost Taylor.
She'll be back. So
She'll be back.
I love this. Taylor wanted to come back, and she was emphatic about coming back because she's like, hey, we went through all this and that was great, but can we actually talk about how we build wealth and what it looks like step by step to get to 11 doors, right? And I love this, Taylor, again, at a conference, getting up early before the session start. Hey, I'm going to jump on. I'm going to show you exactly what I did. Because she was really passionate. Like, I want people to do the same thing. I want to do the same thing. So who's got an investing goal? Who's going to house hack their first property? Who's buying one this year? I know Lauren's been on, committed to buying some properties on an annual basis. What's your goal, Lauren? What's your commitment?
To buy another property here in Richmond this year before the end of the year.
I've got 2. I want to subject to this house, when lease option this house that I rented from some homeowners to help them out. I think I can turn that into a sober living. I'm really thinking about that pretty hard. And then buy a primary. I can qualify to buy a primary. So I think the move is for me this year. That's what I'm working on. Same thing, homeowner. I came in, solved some problems for him. Every deal begins with a motivated seller. Every single time. And they're motivated by emotion and they're motivated by circumstance. And going back and watching how to work with motivated sellers on the YouTube channel, that is my favorite class to teach anywhere in the country, because emotion is like, hey, I want this house out of my life. I'm tired. The tenants are draining me. Circumstances, what we just talked about, right? Hey, we've got to buy my sister out of this because of the structure and because of insurance. And, that is a circumstance. So we need to solve a problem. So one is, how do I get the house out of their life? Come in. Again, Mike Capella talks about this brilliantly, with empathy, earn their trust so we can provide a solution for them, right? There's a great subject to story in there that really saved this woman who's in a tough situation with pre-foreclosure, just like what Taylor talked about. And then the second part of that is a circumstance. How do I come in and provide a solution to someone and pull a house out? So before we jump off, anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions on strategy? If not, we're going to get after it. Today is Take Territory Tuesday. So what we're doing right now, it is June 16th. It is the middle of the year. We are radically committing to taking territory, radically committing to massive action. I hope you join us on this. I'm going to get listing certified this week, and so we can start crushing this out. I'm going to go talk to all my grid people and all my GridCon connections. Go be excellent. Next week, 11 a.m., right? 11 a.m. Tell your friends we're coming to the West Coast. See y'all. Be excellent.